Welcome to Aunty K's Tarot, your favorite radical queer indigenous auntie, bringing you tarot every day. Hello everyone and welcome to Aunty K's Tarot. Today we are going to get around to a chat and cards, but right now first I am exploring Corby Park, which is a rose garden in the city I'm in. There are shoots on leaves, but the beginnings of leaves started on trees. And I'm noticing as I look here that there are hops. Like none of the hops have been picked on any of the roses. They've just been left. They were not gathered at all. There is a sign when you go into the park that tells you, you can't take any cuttings or slips or anything like that. Okay, so you're not going to let people do that. But who's ever looking after the garden, I don't know, you think they'd gather that? I'm not sure. I'm also noticing that there's lots of green shoots, and green shoots on roses can be both a pink color or a green color. And I know there's not going to be any flowers for some time here, but the checking up on those very earliest signs of spring, looking at everything as it's getting ready to start its growth. And at the end of the video, I do notice leaves have sprouted on the bush near me. And we did see, the trees are getting ready to bud up. It's not a very big park, but it's a lovely little park. There's some benches and a bit of a pathway and lots of grass that I think would be nice to sit on and under this tree, which has this interesting little heart going on. I think those are glow in the dark rocks. And the tree is getting ready to grow leaves, which is also very exciting. So, I happen to enjoy that. And there are climbing roses too on these post and hoop things. I love climbing roses. I had a rose garden. I had this teeny tiny little house, 800 square foot house, and it had a little tiny yard, and I planted roses in it. I love roses. They're my favorite flower. It looks like there's a gorgeous large water feature. And it looks like there's memorials on these climbing roses. And this lady gets a whole little picture. And her parents made this for her. And that's pretty sweet. Then I realized there's each side has dedications, but the one lady, I believe her name was Janice, she had a whole picture, so that was special for her. I have come here on this Easter Sunday to enjoy this park, assuming by myself, and it pretty much is, and bring myself a little picnic. And this altar looks like an altar. It's where I'm going to place myself to enjoy my picnic that I brought with me. Oh, and there's a dedication here. And so it turns out that the people who donated this park to the city, this rose garden, owned a distillery. And so I decide that's perfect, since my little picnic happens to include some convenience store alcohol. I offer some of the food and drink that I'm about to consume to the gods, and then I place myself on this altar and get to enjoying it. It feels like a luxury. It's a holiday that I don't celebrate, and my youngest is having a sleepover with a friend who also doesn't celebrate Christian holidays. And so I'm having an irresponsible meal from the convenience store, which feels like a bit of a luxury. And I'm wrapping it up with the whiskey and cola and a joint. And I'm about to pull some cards. And I'm just going to pull a few cards and see where they go. I decide after I've pulled them what it is it feels like they are talking about, which isn't my typical route. All right, we have the Six of Wands as Moth Gideon. We have Palpatine as the Emperor, and we have Senator Giono as the Two of Wands, and our shadow card is May, and no matter how I feel about her, she is the path to the dark side, and the shadow card is holding these down. And all right, let's get into this. This is a dark setup. Like, everything is dark here, except for Senator Giono, and Senator Giono is the ultimate fence sitter. I'll decide at the end, after everything's played out, all the chips have fallen, then I'll place my bet. That is Senator Giono. If this gets really wobbly, I should put a picture in here that keeps it straight. But at the end of the day, you know what this really feels like to me? This makes me feel like Senator Giono is Mark Carney. All right, there we have it. I am making a prediction. Mark Carney is Senator Giono, and this looks like he is taking his place amongst the leaders. And this is my prediction. I'm making a prediction. I didn't think I would. I think Carney is going to take his place amongst those leaders. And he's going to play Giono. He's going to fence it. And that brings a lot of uncertainty. And I've seen the way he's opted to not talk about so-called polarizing topics. And I think it is the more left-leaning people who are going to find that we're the ones hurt by what he didn't say. And people like this, they will, yes, even throw their children under the bus. They will. And the ultimate fence sitter, the ultimate fence sitter, Senator Giono, who was ready to throw his own kid under the bus if his kid couldn't pull out a win. So that's how I feel about it. It puts us in a place of a lot of uncertainty, and I think he's going to make some deals with that shadow card that we aren't particularly happy about. And I think May in there also reminds us that both sides of the coin are dangerous. The dangers of the right-leaning and the conservatives is really obvious, but the dangers of the neoliberal, like, that is their danger, that you don't see it coming because they seemed nice the whole time. That is the whole point of how they play. So, chatting cards, I'm actually making a voting prediction. And I think it's talking about him because he's going to win. That's what I think. Well, I guess that's the danger of not choosing a question beforehand. I'm stuck with whatever comes to mind once I see everything. I think the banking of the clouds over on this side is really beautiful, and then the sky gets more and more and more deep into the colors, and I am going to leave all of you with all of these beautiful colors and be so grateful that I'm fortunate enough to have indoor space and am able to be so fortunate as to then freely leave that indoor space and opt to go into outdoor spaces of my own free choosing, and then back home again as I get cold and the sun sets. Have a beautiful day, folks, and remember, voting won't save us, so do other things, get to the streets, organize, like and subscribe. See you later, folks.